After 6 years, 5 chapters and 20 seasons, Fortnite Star Wars is officially over. And from the Death Star blowing up to a small, humble event that kickstarted everything, it's had a long and complicated story. The first season of Chapter 2, Fortnite planned its riskiest move yet, a collab live event. But its start had fans booing.
JJ, you want to dance with me real quick?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, 2, 1. Sorry, I gotta warm up. Here we go.
This guy stinks!
This wasn't the magic Fortnite players were used to with events. All signs were pointing to a flop until this happened.
At last, the work of generations is complete. The great error is corrected. The day of victory is at hand. The day of revenge. The day of the Sith.
Everything changed. Fortnite itself was now canon in the Star Wars universe, and the box on the stage opened to the craziest reveal. Blasters and sabers were finally here, and it felt like worlds colliding. Imperial Stormtroopers, Sith Troopers, even Rey, Finn, and Kylo Ren were now in our lockers. All of this would build up to the insane collab we know today, but first, it had to evolve. Chapter 2 Season 5 would be our next time face-to-face. It was themed around bounty hunters, and who better to star in the Battle Pass than the Mandalorian. Tier 1 outshined the rest thanks to Din Djarin, and as you progress, you could upgrade him with Beskar armor to just trick him out. To truly unlock his potential, you had to hit tier 100, then you would get Grogu, or Baby Yoda as we knew at the time, and it was insane. One of my least favorite landing spots was Mando's crashed ship where he became a boss. It would have been awesome if he didn't kill players who hadn't even landed yet. The Ambient Sniper Rifle was the newest mythic with a thermal scope and a melee that knocked enemies back. Kinda lackluster on its own because the true purpose was to combine this with the iconic jetpack that every Mandalorian is known for. But Fortnite still wasn't done and dropped an entire mode nobody was expecting. Mando's Bounty was not only extremely fitting with the season, but brought us Easter eggs like Carbonite Peely and an entire POI inspired by the Cantina. In the back, you could even find an instrument that would play the iconic song. While this felt like the golden age of Star Wars, all good things have to end. A new low for the franchise was coming, because after Mando, it would be the last time we saw the collab until years later in Chapter 3. In Season 1, Fortnite brought another Mando bounty hunter to the island, Boba Fett. Instantly, one of the most recognizable characters in the series was here to promote the show, except this was also its downfall. Thanks to Boba's new outfit on screen, his Fortnite skin looked nothing like the original, missing his cape, classic beige clothing, and of course that iconic green jetpack. The skins that came with him were also from the show, giving us Fennec Shand and Cursentan, which are not very exciting additions. But May the 4th was a few months away, and Epic started planning their annual event. It was basically the Obi-Wan event. Just like the last 2 crossovers, this was inspired by a single show. Now we did get the classic character, which brought his own special lightsaber, except it didn't have any crazy abilities. On the bright side, it was May the 4th, which led Epic to unvault sabers and even the E11 blaster rifle. But that was basically it. Would collabs only released to promote Disney Plus releases? Were we never getting a fully fledged Star Wars event again? Well, a bigger partnership was brewing behind the scenes, and that would drop in Season 3. It was time to bring out the character everyone had been waiting for. The Battle Pass had Darth Vader. Yeah, after paying homage to one of the greatest Vader scenes in history, they dropped him straight into the game. Not only could you get his outfit, you could find a shuttle around the map and fight him. He could force choke you, leap across the POI, and of course, throw his saber. And once you took the weapon for yourself, you'd also get his throw ability, which just made it feel really unique. Finally, gone were the days of simple NPCs and just reskin lightsabers. This new era would be different. Season 4 abandoned the idea of just trying to promote Disney shows and finally gave us what we've been waiting for, the original trilogy. Like previous events, we got sabers and blasters, but more importantly, the item shop had a jaw-dropping update. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia were finally playable and full of secrets. From Leia's disguise from Return of the Jedi to R2-D2 as a backbling, fans were overwhelmed at the level of detail. Except after Chapter 3 had bombarded us with constant Star Wars drops, fans were starting to get fatigued. In fact, the collab had split the player base in half. One side absolutely loved it and wanted more, while others were disappointed. I mean, getting all of these outfits, it's cool, but at the end of the day, it was only Vader who shook things up with new weapons. Everyone else was just your average shop skin that had no real hype. I mean, this is Luke Skywalker, and he just appeared in a shop like every other outfit. We wanted more. We wanted Star Wars to feel like it had its own place in the Fortnite universe. And so with the feedback from the previous years, Chapter 4 Season 2 had something special in store. Not only were major characters from the prequels here, but Epic finally turned this into a marketable event. It was May the 4th, and instead of just throwing skins in the shop, people like Darth Maul got their very own mini pass with free clone troopers. In the shop, we could grab Anakin and Padme, and they looked incredible. With the prequel era now in Fortnite, all that was left was to let this change up the game. And that's exactly what Epic did, bringing back lightsabers in a totally new way. Now you couldn't find sabers from chests. In fact, you had to track down a Jedi or a Sith to train you in the ways of the Force. After training, you get the classic weapon, but also force powers. Depending on who you became an apprentice for, you could wield powers like force pull, push, throw, and double jump. It's like Epic was now understanding that fans didn't just want sabers, they wanted to feel like a Jedi. The coolest part was how these powers were tied to learning, so even if you went and picked up some enemy's lightsaber, you still wouldn't know the ways of the Force. And for the total blaster nerds, even they got something in this update with the new DC-15 blaster. Basically, gone were the days of spamming an E11. This actually had a kick to it, but Fortnite wouldn't keep this momentum. They had a good thing going. Star Wars fans were over the moon, but things would just change for the worse. It was now season 4, and the theme was totally irrelevant to any collab, so nobody expected Star Wars to play a role in a vampire-themed heist season. When we loaded in and spotted the secret outfit, fans were shocked to see Ahsoka. We really thought the days of shoehorning Disney shows were over, but we were wrong. Most people were just confused, especially because she looked like a last-minute addition. Even her artwork looked like a PNG. Fans were disappointed for two major reasons. Firstly, her set was bare bones, like she had no edit styles, her staff pickaxe instead of dual lightsabers, and the design was straight up ripped from the live-action show with no Clone Wars versions. The second problem was how Epic went about this. Ahsoka is one of the most important characters in the prequel timeline, and fans know this. So the way that she was thrown into an irrelevant season made players upset. She didn't get the spotlight she deserved. Now on the bright side, they had some things to love about this, like a new portal to let her train you in the ways of the Force. You get a white lightsaber this time, but the power wasn't unique. It was just force push, and it all felt rushed. It was now Chapter 5, and we were starting to get the sense that Fortnite and Star Wars had a complicated relationship. It seemed like anything that released throughout the year was a quick advertisement, and all of the major updates were reserved for May the 4th. And that suspicion was confirmed quickly when the next May event came around and blew us away. Of course, they had recreated the success of the prequel update by giving us another mini pass, but this time it was for a brand new game mode. Thanks to Chapter 5 bringing LEGO, the collab potential had expanded by like 1,000%. I mean, what's more classic than Star Wars and LEGO? Epic knew that, and that's why the mode got its own dedicated Star Wars season. Chewbacca was the headliner, which coincidentally was also the first ever battle pass for LEGO Fortnite. It was full of themed builds like Mos Eisley Cantina and a Tatooine Durr Burger. But that wasn't all. In BR, Chewie got his own NPC that you could rescue and recruit. He'd even get you a Wookiee bowcaster, and fans loved it. He was just one of multiple drops from the original trilogy. Lando finally got a skin in the Cloud City backbling, except his set only had like 3 items, and all of the attention quickly vanished once fans realized who else was here. Luke Skywalker was back. When he originally dropped, he had a bunch of edit styles inspired by A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, except it was missing one design. It was when Luke was stranded on Dagobah. He spent a huge chunk of the movie here, and it's where he meets someone even more famous than him, Master Yoda. We always wondered if Epic would add him, and if they did, how would it work? Well, here's their answer. He's now a back bling that can clip onto Luke's shoulders just like he did in Empire Strikes Back. He wasn't the only one. C-3PO, one of the only characters to appear in every movie, had been missing from the game. But with this update, they decided to debut him as a back bling. Not gonna lie, it was a pretty funny decision to make. One season later, Epic was on stage announcing a huge partnership with Disney, which of course came with only more collabs. This time it was the return of Mando, something that had previously been locked into a battle pass. And while you couldn't get Din Djarin, Fortnite threw some of the biggest names into the shop, letting us run around as Moff Gideon and IG-11. And to truly make some noise, they also revealed a new version of Grogu, who everyone could actually buy this time. So while Epic is still fallen back into the trap of saving the big Star Wars updates for May, they have learned lessons over the years, and we're now starting to evolve these random mid-season drops. For example, as we moved into Chapter 6, it was time for another quick Star Wars collab. And while most of us groaned at the idea of a samurai season getting invaded by random characters, Fortnite learned from the mistakes of Ahsoka. Now they had brought back Vader, another classic skin who had been locked behind a battle pass, but they did it at the perfect time. Not only was the entire design inspired by Japanese samurai, Epic created their own version to fit the season. In fact, they even did it for the Stormtroopers. These quick collabs didn't feel forced anymore. They actually had a purpose. And little did we know the partnership between Disney and Epic were nearing a new high. All of these years of buildup were simply testing the waters to see how fans reacted, and Epic knew exactly what they wanted. As Star Wars Celebration made its way to Japan, they had a surprise for all of the Fortnite players who've been waiting half a decade.
How rude.
It's everything they wanted and more. All of those highs and lows, disappointments and excitements, it led to this very moment. This wasn't your average May the 4th. It was everything. I'm talking every character, weapon, vehicle, all of it was changed for Star Wars. They removed all guns in the loot pool and replaced them with blasters, meaning ammo was vaulted for the first time in history. And just on the season's launch day, there was an overwhelming amount of fan service. From TIE fighters and X-Wings to thermal imploders and brand new POIs, no stone was left unturned. Prequel lovers were able to play as General Grievous and Mace Windu, and possibly the craziest outfit of them all, which is Darth Jar Jar. Like something that was an inside joke in the community was now realized in Fortnite. Original trilogy fans got Emperor Palpatine as the villain, along with tons of weapons from the films and POIs like the Mos Eisley Cantina. Even the sequels got representation here, from the First Order base, the Captain Phasma and Poe Dameron. Rey also got another outfit with a Sith style. All of these guys had gigantic sets full of Easter eggs, and there was so much content that Epic had to break it into 5 different parts. Each week, a new group of characters appeared in the shop and influenced the loot pool. Whether it was a totally customizable Mandalorian with a jetpack, sniper, and Jango Fett's blasters, or Samurai Darth Vader literally breaking the internet with AI.
Your never back down, never give up spirit has proven surprisingly resilient.
Wait, can you hear me?
Speak plainly, Nick A30.
Yeah, Fortnite partnered with Google and James Earl Jones' family to recreate his voice, and you could just say whatever you wanted to him.
Can you hide in the bush?
Hiding in foliage, a tactic for the less powerful.
Now keep in mind, this all happened on week 2 of the season. Epic was just getting started, and as we were distracted by updates like controlling Star Destroyer cannons, everything changed with one announcement. For the first time since Star Wars debuted all of those years ago, we were finally getting a live event. And this wasn't gonna be on the smaller side, it was gonna break tradition as the first mid-chapter event since 2022. We would destroy the Death Star. But as we look back throughout the entire history of all of this, we have to wonder, was it a successful partnership? This season, with the amount of content that it's had, also had Fortnite's lowest player count pretty much of all time. Will this be the last time Star Wars is in Fortnite? Well, only time will tell. It's been Tommy, keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.